Storyboarding is arguably the most crucial step in any kind of project, whether that project is a 2D project of some kind or not. It's quite unnerving to start working on a 2D animation project, a video game, or even a comic book, only to end up finding fundamental mistakes in the way your project is structured, and then have to redraw, reanimate, or rebuild your project. Not only that, but it would cost a fortune, and if you have some kind of a publisher or financial entity that supports your work, you would have to answer for that, and in some cases lose funding altogether, and no one wants that. So, what's the best, most effective thing to avoid that? Storyboarding is your hero. By the way, if you want to learn how to make your own storyboards, check this Domestika course by Laura Ewing. She's a seasoned character designer and storyboard artist, with a portfolio that counts all sorts of real-life projects, from TV shows, documentaries, live-action movies, and animated shorts. Laura will first let you go through the types of storyboards and teach you the cinematic language behind them. After that, you'll learn how to leverage the fundamentals of storyboarding to translate your script into a visually engaging story. Fundamentals like camera angles, the rule of thirds, depth, movements, the 180 axis, perspective, ideation, and more. You can turn your favorite piece of writing into a full-fledged storyboard step by step, from sketch to final touches using Photoshop. Not to mention the valuable tips that only a veteran can give you to help you build your own creative identity and professional career. If you're interested, you can find all the necessary links in the description box below. Now that we have established that storyboarding could very well save your project from ruin, let's go into detail on what it is. Let's start with the basics. According to Merriam-Webster, storyboard means a panel or series of panels on which a set of sketches is arranged depicting consecutively the important changes of scene and action in a series of shots, as for a film, television show, or commercial. So, storyboards are the way for you to plan out the most important story beats, keyframes, and everything that is important in your story, so that you have a basic structure and know where everything will go. This way, once you start working on your project, not only do you have a concrete vision on how everything will play out, but you are less prone to falling into the trap of investing precious time and money on a scene or plot line that will not work in the medium you're working in. Storyboards don't have to be incredibly detailed to the point of having nothing thought out, but they also can. Alyssa Mayo writes in an article for Studio Binder, Alfred Hitchcock was notorious for his boards. He was so detailed that actually shooting the film was boring. And although this is an example from the practice of storyboarding for films, don't be fooled. The process of making storyboards is similar across all mediums. That is how powerful storyboarding is in creation. When you think about it, any work of art, whether movie, animation, comic, manga, or even commercials, tell a story. And so making boards for that purpose, to be able to tell the story with every detail in mind, is a great way to deliver a product with depth, where every detail is well thought out and accounted for. So, how do you make one? There are plenty of storyboarding software that can help you bring your vision to life. It's worth noting that a storyboard can be virtually made in any software that has a pen tool, canvas, and layers, or even on sketchbooks or random pen and paper. Due to the open nature of storyboarding, it can be achieved by rudimentary means. However, with today's advancement and accessibility to knowledge, there are many storyboard software that you don't have to pay a dime for. You just need your computer and a graphics tab. Okay, but where are storyboards used? Let's take a look at some examples of storyboards and how they translate in media. Although we are a 2D channel, we have to talk movies and films when talking storyboarding. The storyboard of Rian Johnson's 2019 Knives Out is a great example of how storyboards can be a great tool, despite their simplicity. If that is not the funniest thing you have ever seen, what is? No, but seriously, the director was able to explain how things will be set out in that scene and give a general idea for his vision without having to waste time on filming it and then perhaps not liking it. With something like a movie, the style can also be somewhat realistic to reflect the medium properly. If we take the storyboards of The Shining, 1980, or James Cameron's Oscar-winning masterpiece Titanic, we see that they tend to look realistic, with some even going for collages rather than hand-drawn storyboards. It all makes sense, considering that they are movies, so no drawing style is required to set the tone. But perhaps the style here leans more into color, composition, shot positioning, among many other things. For something that is more in our domain, the storyboards in 2D animation are a masterclass in storyboarding. They're a lot more detailed and thorough than other storyboards, which makes sense as they're made by artists or people in the creative field. And these storyboards help the team explore different ways of telling the story and other aspects of animation before committing to them and wasting time if they end up not being good enough. Let's take a look at some examples from the world of 2D. The storyboards of the Disney animation of Alice in Wonderland are quite detailed and actually quite aesthetically pleasing to look at. These storyboards could have very well aided the artist in defining the style of the animation to set the tone for it. A movie about magical hidden places and an adventurous girl full of life. Of course, there are going to be round shapes and a very wavy pattern to the world. This might have not been clear had the artist not done some storyboarding. Same thing goes for the same company's Cinderella animation and its storyboarding. The style seems to be established in them and every line is done with intention. And although most of those storyboards seem to be done in pencil lined and shaded, the beauty of the theme of these movies shines through. Somewhat of the same thing goes for video games, except a storyboard for one of the newer Resident Evil games, Resident Evil 2019 for instance, will be of a night and day difference in comparison to something, say like Kena, Bridge of Spirits. This really shows how storyboarding can also help the creators of the project figure out the style and tone for the project on top of the shots and how the story is presented. And to elaborate on this further, video games are becoming more and more akin to movies in the way their narrative is presented. They use voice actors and actors in motion capture suits and have them act out the scene to get the desired and most realistic body movement and voice acting. Reshooting this can be time-consuming and expensive as heck, so storyboarding these sequences can be a very helpful step to avoid any problems before they even occur. Another use for storyboarding in the same vein is how, as a freelance artist, you can present many different ideas and approaches to whatever is commissioned of you. Say for example, your client asks you to make a short motion graphics animation to demonstrate something or to advertise something. Instead of wasting your precious time and effort on something that the client might want to change and alter completely, you get to explore many different ideas with them by storyboarding and have them choose what they like. This isn't a foolproof way of avoiding spending precious time on something that will never see the light and might be scraped, but it sure saves you the possibility of falling into that more than not. And just because we mentioned productions that are animated doesn't mean that storyboarding is strictly related to animated movies, films, and cartoons. You can very well storyboard your comic and manga before fully committing to starting to polish anything, which is as much of an important step in comics and manga as it is in animated movies and films. It all boils down to having a space provided by storyboarding, where you can explore ideas and paths that your work can take without risking any time or effort. So the conclusion to this is that storyboards can be used in pretty much any production, whether movie, 2D animation, cartoon, and even commercials. It can also come in pretty much any style, whether simplistic, like that One Knives Out scene, or fully fledged, such as the ones in Spirited Away, or something in between. The only goal here is to be able to plan out your shots, scenes, and everything so that you could explore different methods of execution and pick the most suitable without wasting precious time and resources. With that said, we hope you enjoyed this video and that it has given you the information you need to be more informed and educated about storyboarding. Is storyboarding for you? Or are you more of a, let me just do this on the fly and hope for the best kind of person? Let us know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and see you next time.